Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to show you how to propagate Alocasia Portodora from stem cuttings. I'll guide you through all the steps and share the results, so stick around until the end. Just a quick note, this method works for any Alocasia plant, not just Portodora. First, let me tell you what happened with my Alocasia and why I decided to propagate. I've had this beauty for about 2 years now. I got her when she was just a little plant and she was growing like crazy. I had her sitting by a northeast facing window where she was getting plenty of light and enjoying the gentle morning sun. For the first year and a half, she was doing amazing. But then, out of nowhere, she got infested with spider mites. I tried a bunch of different methods to get rid of them, but no matter what I did, they just kept coming back. When I saw them return again, I knew I had to take the drastic measures. So I removed everything. I cut off all the leaves and roots, leaving just the long stem and a new leaf that was just starting to grow. After cutting, I washed it with water, sprayed it down with insecticidal soap, and then cleaned it with a mix of 3% hydrogen peroxide and water. My first plan was to just plant the whole stem in perlite, but it turned out to be pretty long, which wasn't ideal. So I decided to cut it into smaller pieces to get 3 separate plants. I placed 2 of those pieces in a plastic container with some other plants and CORMS. I actually used this plastic box with a lid to propagate CORMS from my other Alocasia plants. This kind of a box is great because it keeps the humidity really high, which is super important when propagating these plants, and all Alocasias in general. Inside is just perlite, and I give it a spray with distilled water whenever the perlite starts to dry out. I keep the box in a bright spot, making sure to avoid direct sunlight. The third part of the stem I planted separately in perlite using a small glass container. I found that perlite is ideal for propagating plants because it keeps the environment nice and moist. It's similar to water propagation, but gives the plant more stability since it's not sitting directly in water. I also use transparent containers or pots when propagating because they let me easily check the water needs and see how the roots are developing without disturbing the plant. So when propagating, I really suggest using perlite in a clear pot. I water this stem whenever the perlite starts to dry out. I put it back by the northeast facing window and kept an eye on its progress. Honestly, I thought the new leaf might die from the stress of the cuttings, but I was pleasantly surprised just 2 weeks later. As you can see, the leaf grew and opened up, and another one started to emerge. You can also see how the new roots are developing in the perlite. It definitely survived. I'll show you how she looks today and report her later in the video. Let me show you what happened with the other two stems I left in the propagation box 2 months ago. Here is the first stem. As you can see, it has few growths on the sides and the leaves are beautiful and healthy. They definitely need more space to grow taller. Here is the second one. It also has new growths and even a corm. So both of them are improving really well, and I'm going to transfer them in soil mix now. When planting Alocasia, I always use my own potting mix, which I prepare for all my Aroid plants. If you are interested in how I make it, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check it out. Now I will remove them from the perlite. Another great thing about perlite is that it's very light, so you can pull the plant out without worrying about damaging the roots. As you can see, the roots have developed a lot here, spreading all over the box. That's why it's usually recommended to plant Alocasia in smaller pots. Their roots tend to grow pretty fast. This is a corm, and I'll leave it attached because it stores a lot of nutrients. At this point, those nutrients are really necessary for the plant to start growing. As you can see, the roots are really well formed and the new growth looks beautiful. Both plants are ready to be transferred separately. I'm not going to clean the roots of perlite. I'll leave them as they are and simply add them to my soil mix. When choosing a pot, go for a smaller size, like I mentioned earlier. This isn't just because Alocasia roots spread quickly, but also to help avoid root rot. Larger pots hold moisture longer, which can be a problem for Alocasias. Also, make sure the pot has drainage holes. Place the plant in its new pot and add some soil gently. Don't press it down too hard. Leave some space because the mix will expand a bit when you water it. The mix should be chunky and airy. And this is how it looks today, the one I placed in the glass pot 2 months ago. You can really see the difference. While the root system is smaller due to the size of the pot, the leaves and the stem have grown significantly. Now I'm going to transfer her into a pot with drainage holes using the same mix and method. After planting, it's super important to give the plant plenty of water. The mix should be wet enough, so I suggest soaking it for about 15 minutes. Once soaked, allow the excess water to drain completely before placing it in a tray or decorative pot. Place them in a bright spot, but avoid direct sunlight. It's essential to keep the humidity above 60%. Water the plants when the top 2 inches of the soil feel dry to the touch and be cautious about overwatering. In the beginning, it's really important to be careful with watering until the plant starts to grow and you figure out how much water it needs. The roots are young and delicate, making them prone to rot. It's actually better to underwater them, as they'll let you know when they are thirsty by dropping their leaves. When it comes to fertilizing, I recommend waiting about 6 months before adding any. Once the plant has acclimated to its new pot and starts growing, you can begin fertilizing with a liquid fertilizer diluted to half strength. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoy my content, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Happy growing!